Now it says setting up your meeting for Facebook Live.
Okay.
Wow, that's a lot of things to go through.
I think we're live. It says meeting is now streaming live. All right. So if we are live, if you are there watching us, let us know if you can see us and hear us. Good morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Bienvenue à notre session en direct. Aujourd'hui, on se joint à vous pour faire une petite récapitulation de notre semaine de prendre soin de soi. Donc, moi, je suis Brandy Blomquist, je suis la coordinatrice pour le Nord, si vous ne me connaissez pas déjà. Et puis, le Nord comprend les régions de Chaleur, les régions de Restigouche et les régions d'Edmonton-Grasso. Et puis, je suis jointe ce matin avec Kim. Good morning, Kim.
Good morning. How are you, Brandy?
I'm doing pretty good this morning. So I was just telling everybody in French that we are joining them live this morning to bring a kind of a recap of our self-care week, and that I just introduced myself for those of who don't know me yet. I'm Brandy, and I'm the regional coordinator for the North, and that's Restigouche region, Chaleur region, and Edmonton Grand Falls. And then I'm joined by Kim this morning.
And I'm the regional coordinator for the Central New Brunswick. So I'm located in the Fredericton area, but I cover the areas from Woodstock to Chipman and including the Miramichi now.
Yes, absolutely. So I just want to open up our fan page here. So to see if there's any comments or anyone watching us this morning. There we go. It is open and we have some good mornings. So good morning, Suzanne, and good morning, Patricia. So, wow, what a wonderful week we've had. I feel that we had such good content coming out for our participants and for anyone who is wondering or interested in adoption. I think we had a lot of good stuff to offer this week. How are you feeling about the week, Kim?
I'm feeling really good. And I think last night's support group was absolutely phenomenal. And it really showed us how much self-care we need to promote it more and more, because even though we've heard from some of our participants that they know about self-care, that they've studied self-care in different avenues of their life, but yet they still don't incorporate it because it seems like something you just say, yes, I need self-care. But we've learned, like, we truly need more talking about self-care, more avenues for self-care, and more support for those who need self-care. So I think this week was excellent. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I think there was many highlights for me during the week. But I think the support group last night was a big highlight. Yeah. Because we make those connections between participants, and we are at a place where we can say, you know what? Yes, I really need this. And it really, even though I know too, as you know, let's say working for the support network, we know this, right, Kim?
Yes.
But at the same time, yesterday was a big eye-opener because it is such a fundamental need. And what we realized a bit is that even though we know about self-care, we're not quite sure what to do, when to start, what, you know.
And it sounds so simple. And that's why we titled it Beyond the Bubble Baths and Vacations, because people are thinking, okay, I need a date night. Okay, like I need, book a trip down south when COVID's all done. But it's beyond that. You need to create these rituals. You need to create the boundaries. You need it to be consistent, and you need to put yourself first during those times. So we understand that there's many extra added layers with our children of trauma. And that's even more reason why you need to put yourself first, and you need to create that time to do that, because we're trying to be the perfect parent. Some of us have waited years to adopt our children, and we've dreamed of becoming parents, and you don't want to mess anything up. So there's even more pressure. People are watching you, you feel like you have advertised or you have explained in your family about how much you desire to be a mom. And now that opportunity has presented itself, you feel the pressure of, did I do this right? Did I do that right? You need to check in with yourself. Like, we really need to create that time for you. and then you'll be able to handle the rest of the day even better.
Absolutely. And we found that out a lot with the support group last night. So thank you of those of you who have joined our support group last night. It was really nice connecting with you. And Kim, you bring out a good point, as well as this wait time through the adoption process is a great time to start really incorporating the rituals of self-care before even that your child comes home to you, so that you create that momentum of taking care of yourself, so that when it does happen inside, all the turbulence that can happen, that you have these things ingrained. And it doesn't mean that there won't be days where you don't put yourself last or something. We all have still these days, but it'll be kind of in there. So don't be shy to join our support groups if you are a waiting parent, because these are for you as well, so that we can all support each other through every process, or wherever we're at in the process, right?
Yes.
Donc, ce qu'on disait, c'est que il y a eu beaucoup de contenu cette semaine. Ça fait que si vous n'avez pas eu la chance de voir ou écouter ce qui a été présenté cette semaine, prenez le temps quand vous avez la chance. Il y a eu beaucoup de contenu. Puis, on disait que une des choses qu'on a vraiment apprécié de cette semaine, c'était le groupe de support de hier soir, avec les parents qui ont adopté ou qui sont parents d'accueil, puis qui ont venu vraiment partager le fait que c'est un besoin. C'est vraiment un besoin de prendre soin de soi. C'est quelque chose qu'on sait toutes, mais que des fois, on n'est pas vraiment certaine, parce que ça fait tellement longtemps qu'on est comme genre de dernière ou dernier sur la liste, puis on est comme juste plus sûr comment que ça peut se faire dans notre vie. So I was just giving a little repeat of what we just discussed. So we just kind of wanted to do a recap as well as just like go about what kind of we presented this week. What were the main highlights or topics that we kind of did? And then encourage you, if you didn't have the chance to join us live, no worries, because all the content is saved and it's all on our website, and we'll be sharing it again throughout. So whichever, if that was week 1, 2 for the process, week 2 for trauma, it's all there for you. And then this week was week 3 for self-care. Everything is there for you to watch at your own convenience, and we highly encourage you to take the time to look at all the resources that we've got out for you. Donc, on vous encourage à aller voir si vous n'avez pas eu la chance de regarder. All right, so Monday, what did we discuss Monday?
We started off Monday with just the idea of self-care, of what it means, and how to bring that into your life a little bit. We introduced self-care and the idea of it.
Yeah, so Kim and I, we introduced it in a way that, like she mentioned, beyond the bubble baths and the vacations, which again, we will stress that those are all great things to do, and we want to do those as well, like hello, who doesn't like a bubble bath? And but we it's this idea of really doing some activities that will nourish you and that will support your well-being. And we had come to the conclusion that, sometimes it's just 5 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So that was about morning rituals, or any rituals that you can start being consistent in, making yourself a priority. So then we presented on Tuesday, we presented some interviews with some families, one in French, donc une présentation en français, puis une en anglais, une entrevue sur les bienfaits de prendre soin de soi. So that these were on the benefits, and seeing how some of our participants have actually incorporated their own rituals and their own ways of taking care of themselves, because it will look different from family to family.
And so these families have extremely busy lives. I know that the interview that I did with Carolyn, she has 5 children in her home, but yet she still manages to make herself a priority every single day, whether she has to skip it in the morning, which that's a normal routine, is to do it in the morning, but she will make time for it, because she has seen in the past year the difference incorporating it and being consistent makes. So even though you feel guilty, sometimes thinking, okay, my child needs me, I should be doing this, I should be doing laundry. It's like, nope, I need to take care of myself, and then I'll be able to function at a higher level throughout the day. And I feel like I acknowledged myself. So please watch these interviews, because they're our participants. They're going to show you it can be done. Yeah.
Absolutely. Just want to say a little good morning to Kyla. Thanks for joining us this morning. She sends us a good morning. Thanks for being there. Kim, you bring up a good point too about the should, because when we are in shoulds, it's another little tip to maybe change it to a could, because the shoulds make us feel guilty. The shoulds, whenever we can catch ourselves with that self-talk around we should, it's a very big indicator that you actually need self-care, because in these shoulds, it brings up this guilt. So we want to maybe say, yeah, we could be doing something right now, like laundry or making a puzzle with our kids, but we need, and we're choosing, because we know we need 5 minutes of just, going to read a book, quiet time, or going to breathe some fresh air, so that we can come back energized and be able to be there and caregive enough.
Well, it's funny you said about the book, because remember, one of our participants told us that they locked themselves in the bathroom for 5 minutes to read. And they sometimes will come back out, check on the children. And these are the days that their needs are very high. And they know they have to put themselves first. So the children are safe, they're engaged in their play, they go back to the bathroom, lock themselves for 5 more minutes. And until they feel they can be regulated and they've taken care of themselves, they've taken a moment to themselves, and acknowledged what they're going through, and then they feel more prepared after that.
Actually, yes, it was a participant saying that last night. And it was her way of finding that a regulating time or that breathing time, and it was through reading for her. Absolutely. So we had some good, even though some of our participants were saying, yes, it's a big need, and yes, we need more, around self-care. We still found out some great ideas around self-care that we hadn't thought about this week, which resonated a lot with me, especially one of them. So maybe you can share with us what a participant shared around self-care, and 2 things around self-care that was very important.
And it's so funny, because this participant immediately talked about her need for these 2 items. And then we were like, wow, we have focused on so many different avenues. We are so happy that she gave us this feedback, because we hadn't even spoke about it, but yet we both agree it's extremely important. Yes. And one of them was sleep. And we absolutely know that if you don't get enough sleep, if you don't get enough REM sleep, you can't function at the same level throughout your day. You're more tired. You'll become irritable quicker. Your patience won't be as in control. Your engagement with not only your children, but your outside life. You're tired. You're exhausted. So the sleep one was something that we were like, wow, this is real. Thank you for mentioning it. We told her we're going to talk about it today because of her. So this is why we need your engagement. We need you to come and help us when we help you. It's going to be a peer-to-peer connection. She was able to explain that last night during the support group. Along with her, the other one was food. So sleep and food. Now, Brandy, which one resonated the most with you?
The food part, definitely, because through our little exercise that we shared on Thursday around the 6 questions to check in with ourselves every day, to make that part of our rituals. One of them is check in with your body and see kind of what you're feeling. And our bodies give us, signs all the time. It speaks to us all the time. And when the participant mentioned food and the fact that now she has 2 young children in her home now, and things are busy, and she works full time, and it can be very difficult to come home and make supper. So she's found someone to take care of those needs for her, and she buys this lady makes homemade prepped vegan meals that she can pick up and bring home, and it's just wonderful. And it really resonated with me, because I'm someone who's not a big fan of cooking in general. So I do have to cook, because I have to make sure my kids eat. And, but that would be something that I have to incorporate really much in my self-care routine, is to make sure that my fridge is full of what I need. maybe more planned around what meals I want to make and not be so
Yes.
last minute. Because I tend to, all of a sudden it's like 2 o'clock and I don't know what we're having for supper, and then I have to figure that out.
Right.
It's really, so it brings up the point that we needs can be different things for us. So we got to
Yes.
figure out what we need. And another participant had mentioned organization.
Yes, yes, she did.
Need to be organized because of she has many kids in her home, and they all have different things that they need and for school and this and appointments, and to be organized so that when she wakes up in the morning, regardless of how she's feeling, because sometimes she's feeling very exhausted and sometimes it's okay, whether or not she feels exhausted or not, at least things will be prepped and organized for the morning. So that was another big one.
It was, yeah. And I agreed with her, like, again, we're going to go back to sleep. In order to get a good sleep, we have to shut our minds off. We have to feel that, okay, I'm relaxed enough, I'm safe enough, and I need to go to sleep. It's a need for our body, let alone our mind. And with her, in order for her to process that, she has to go through everything. Once she's organized, she feels calm, more calm on the inside, and then she can go to sleep and have a better sleep to be able to function at a good level the next day.
Yeah, so it was really interesting to get the insight into our families' lives and into our participants' structure around their lives, and start thinking about, because how often do we wake up in the morning, ask ourselves how we're feeling, see how all that impacts us, and say, the last question is, what do I need to nurture myself today through everything that I just went through in my check-in? So I'm feeling this, I'm having these thoughts. So what do I need today?
Right.
And that was a big eye-opener, because then it's like, okay, I got to figure out what I need. That's how I'm going to take care of myself, when I know what I need. And our needs change all the time, right, Kim? Especially with our children, and depending on what days they're having, our needs may change. But the structure never change, in the sense that how are you going to figure that out? We have this framework for you that we really want to promote, and we're going to every Monday with our self-care sessions. Donc, on a vraiment réalisé qu'il y a des choses que les parents, une fois qu'ils peuvent vraiment voir, nos participants qu'on avait dans notre groupe, quand ils peuvent voir, voici comment je me sens, voici qu'est-ce qui se passe dans ma vie, mais quel besoin j'ai besoin de combler. Puis on a besoin de savoir c'est quoi nos besoins avant d'avancer, et de savoir comment prendre soin de soi ou de nous. Puis on a des participants qui avaient parlé du sommeil, so sleep, sommeil. Puis le souper ou la nourriture, la bouffe, puis d'être organisé. Fait que c'est 3 choses qui ont vraiment surmonté dans notre groupe hier. Donc, l'importance des groupes, c'est qu'on se rend compte, puis on peut vraiment savoir, comment est-ce que ça se passe pour tout le monde, puis on peut se donner des idées. So it's really about this bouncing off as well for ideas.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think yesterday, a great highlight too of our support meeting last night was, wow, I think I really needed this tonight, to know that everybody else is going through this. Even though we're not all going through the same thing, it's still the same. It can bring up the same feelings of, oh, geez, I got to take care of myself. And it just felt so good for everybody to kind of know that we're all going through hardships sometimes,
Well, how many times last night did we all go like, yes, like, hey, that's you, like I do that too, or like, oh my goodness, I needed that too, or you come up with that idea. We were getting excited over the fact that we related to each other on such a level that sometimes you just don't feel like anyone relates to you on, or you don't feel you can share what you're going through for many different reasons, whether it's trust or you worry about judgment.
Yeah.
Right. So last night, we were all like, sometimes we were laughing over the fact that we all do the exact same thing. Sometimes we're excited for someone that they come up with such a great idea that we're like, hey, I'm going to take that home now. I'm going to do that one because that sounds like it would fulfill my need. So that's why we need to have more participation and do these support groups. And please join in. Like, even if you don't want to answer any questions, you don't have to.
You don't have to.
No, like, it's your comfort level. We're there for you. And believe me, you will connect with someone. You will find a connection that you didn't expect to make. You really will.
Absolutely. And it was absolutely lovely to have those connections. It was really great. And this, I think what came up a lot too is this mommy guilt or this daddy guilt too, you know, and so we are all feeling it. We're all feeling it, and it's normal. And it's this idea of what we discussed on Thursday about how do we practice self-compassion and self-empathy for the way we are feeling, and being okay with, yeah, you know what, I feel terrible that it didn't go so well today. Maybe I could have done it a different way. But you know what, we practice self-compassion, and we know that we're all kind of having these feelings, and then the next day we do better, and we try again.
And Brandy, I don't mean to skip ahead, because I know at the end we are going to answer a couple of our participants' questions.
Yeah, well, we can go. No, there's no structure. Let's do it.
Okay, because we more or less just answer one of them, because one of the questions that I received was, how do I know when I can put my need ahead of my child's, because there's such guilt putting yourself first? How do you know when it's okay?
Yeah, so I like, that's a fantastic question, because honestly, we could always say that it's always the child's needs first, right? Because we will tend to say that, and that's I think a natural, and that reaction is instinctual, and it's a good instinct to say we want to make sure the child's regulated and okay first, definitely, okay? But I think what we need to start doing is are they safe? Are they okay? Right. Is it a fundamental need? Like, is it a, how do we say, an emergency? You know, is it emergency? Can it be done in 5 minutes? You know, let's bring it down a notch, because we talked about this week a lot around the thought processes that goes on, and we have so many thoughts a day, and a lot of them are negative, and a lot of them are self-brought on. Like, we make up those narratives and those stories inside of our heads. So can we bring it down a notch? Is this an emergency? Is there a bear running after your kid? Yeah. You know,
exactly.
Are they safe for 5 minutes? And yes. Then you can say like, oh, okay, yeah. So I think it's a great question, because as mothers, as parents, we're going to always say it's our kids first.
Yeah, it's true.
But we need to start taking, and we talked about that in the support group a little bit yesterday, is that we need to take a sliver of that pie. Yes. Everything you are giving out, everything you're helping with, fixing, supporting, you need to take a sliver of that pie.
Yeah, it's true. You absolutely need to nourish your own self. Yes.
So that you can show up and give more of your pie.
Right.
Because we know we are giving a lot of our pie. So we have a couple questions here, I think. So are you considering offering more self-care support groups? And I will jump the boat right now.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Yes. So we're going to have a team discussion about it. But yes, it's definitely a major need. And so is other support. But if we can start, if we can start getting down to the basics of feeling regulated as parents, then we can show up and be able to navigate the challenges that may or may not come, you know. So we have quotes here. Is that when they call me, when I'm taking my time for myself, is someone hurt? Is someone bleeding? No, okay. Then I'll be there when I can. Absolutely, Patricia. Thank you.
That is so true. So I just want to touch on the one before that, Brandy, because you said that we're going to have a team meeting. So we are going to meet with other coordinators and our executive director, Suzanne Kingston, and we're going to talk about what we found out this week about the high needs of our participants, and that there is more of a need to have another support group about self-care, about how do we take care of ourselves. So please stay tuned for that. We will make an announcement about it. We are going to listen to what you said. We acknowledged what you said, and now we're going to look for a resource for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's really exciting because I think we're starting to, just for lack of better words, but wake up to the fact that we already knew this, but now we realize that it can be done in a simpler way. It doesn't have to cost any money. It doesn't have to be extravagant. It doesn't have to take an hour of meditation every day. And we realized through rituals and compassion and empathy, yes, and starting to be aware of our thoughts. And I just want to mention something that was also brought up was this idea of validation, and how so often, yes, we hear that, if we're looking for validation, that makes us like icky, and we're not looking for someone, I think you mentioned it too, Kim, that you're not looking for a pat on the back every day and saying, hey, but this idea of, as a network, as a group, as we are going through this process, it's okay that your need is validation, yes, because you are doing something that requires a lot of strength, a lot of love, and a lot of compassion, and a lot of your fuel. A lot of your energy goes into your family and your kids. And validation it's okay to get validation.
Absolutely. Who doesn't like better than to hear, you did a good job, or boy, you came up with a great idea. I've never thought to do that with my children. And you just feel like that little bit, oh, okay, like someone, you like that idea? Like it works for my child, but I didn't know it was special. Or like you like to feel that you're in the right. You like to feel acknowledged. You like to feel validated. It really warms your heart. So there's nothing wrong with going to someone and saying, I'm having a really rough time. I need some validation. Even if it's your spouse, a best friend, anyone on the network here, us, you could send me a situation, like, and talk about what you did in the morning, and then I'll read it. I'll be like, wow, what a fantastic opportunity you took, to regulate your child, and you stayed regulated. How did you do that? Like,
exactly.
Yeah. And it's
exactly. And I think you brought up the point, Kim, around validation, that it's a way for us to relate, and through the 3 R's of trauma, the first thing we need, there is no healing happening if you don't relate, if there's no relationship, if there's no connection. Right. We are beings of connection. We are not healing by ourselves. We need that relatability. And through this validation, we can get this relatability, this connection, this relationship starts to build. Right. And I think that was a very important part about regulation, about keeping ourselves regulated. We need that relatability. We need to know that Kim understands me to her degree, because we're not all living the same thing, right? We can't step into, but empathy is a way to step into someone else's shoes and say, oh my God, that is hard.
Yes.
You are doing something really hard, and you are doing the best you can with the knowledge you have and the self-care that you took right now.
I know. And it's funny because you just nailed something. Well, our second question a participant sent me, you touched on it. It's like you're ahead of the game tonight there, Brandy.
Oh, wow.
They asked about self-care and the fact that they're on a very tight budget, and they feel that it's hard when they see other people with their trips and all that stuff. And they feel like, they can't meet those needs because of their time constraints and budgets. So what advice would you give them about that?
Yeah, first advice, and it goes into this type of self-care of our thoughts, is that number one, we got to stop as adoptive parents to compare ourselves to other families. They are not living our reality. And that's number one. It's a hard one. I know for myself, I find it difficult around judgment, because I'm someone who, we all want to be appreciated and loved and seen, that we're doing, like we're good, and we're not perfect, but you know, we got this and we got this together. And just because your child is dysregulated or things are not going as you have planned, it's not a reflection on you.
Right.
It's not you. You're doing the best you can. So I would say also around, so let's try to stop comparing or being easy on ourselves for that judgment that we have. Yeah. And also recognize that this idea of self-care, the superficial part, is not reality. We don't all have the money and the time. We know we're busy. We don't have this time. So this idea that self-care, when we scroll on social media and see someone, at the spa or having a nice beach day or a vacation, which is fine when you can do it. That's great. You go when you do it, But in our reality of things and how busy we are with medical appointments and stuff with our kids in school and this and that, we got to come down to say, hey, where am I at?
Right.
And what I need with where I'm at. And it doesn't mean that at some point you won't get up to something else that you're wishing or wanting. But yeah, it's this idea that self-care does not have to cost anything.
And I'd like to point out too that we're going to give you some ideas right now. Like we're going to talk about, getting in touch with nature right now. Like an example would be literally opening a window or go out on your patio deck or go outside and take some deep breaths in. You don't understand how calming that is, where it slows your heart down, where you can close your eyes. There's so many tiny ways to do self-care that don't take much time at all. But when Brady's talking about comparing yourself, when someone goes on a vacation, yes, maybe they're at peace for those 7 days or 4 days, whatever their vacation may be, but they're coming back to the exact same chaos they left. So they may not be taking care of their needs as much as someone who literally drinks a warm cup of tea in the morning and takes that 5 minutes, because you do it every day. It needs to be a ritual. Because if it's not, then you just walk back into the chaos and your coping skills aren't as great because you didn't create those boundaries and rituals that go through every day of the year.
Yes, absolutely. And we need that. And foremost, we need to recognize what our needs are to be able to do that, right? So we have a couple comments, Kim, so I'm just going to go read those out. So we have Suzanne saying, taking time for self-care is also a way for our children to develop independence and confidence in themselves too. We trust them to be okay without us 100% of the time. That's such a good one.
It is.
I know for me too, like I always feel I'm the one who needs to be there. I'm the one, I got to be there, got to be there, got to be there. And it's true. They need to figure out their independence as well.
Yes. Yep.
So, and then Suzanne says, getting validation and giving it feels great. And it's true, the giving and receiving. So it's also getting it, but it's also, can you give validation to other people, which is a great one. And she says, love watching the dynamic between you two. We're very passionate about this, I think.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm just going to do a little resume in French here. Il y a beaucoup qu'à surmonter, puis on réalise que vraiment, c'est ça, il y avait des questions de parents demandant que, c'est ça, quand on voit d'autres parents prendre soin de soi d'une certaine façon, puis que nous, c'est peut-être pas ce qu'on peut faire tout de suite, puis est-ce que ça doit coûter de l'argent? Puis non, absolument pas. Puis premièrement, il faut arrêter de se comparer aux autres parce qu'ils vivent pas la situation qu'on vit. Fait qu'il faut aller où ce qu'on est, puis reconnaître c'est quoi nos, oh, my coffee went flying. Qu'est-ce que nos besoins dans ce moment-là, puis de voir que petit peu à petit peu, on peut ajouter, mais ça n'a pas besoin de coûter rien. Puis, I feel that there's a lot. There's just a lot, but it's all good. Il y a beaucoup. So I would also like to create some sort of resource more in French, so we'll see what goes on with that in terms of supporting our families and making sure that we can support in French. So de façon qu'on puisse supporter en français aussi.
And I'd like to point out that, like, before we close today, I want to make sure that people know that we're going to put these 6 questions up. We're going to post them for you. We did the exercise on our live on Tuesday, and we also did the exercise last night at the support group. the information it brought out and the resources and the feelings and reactions were phenomenal. And I myself just learned this from Brandy this week, so I truly appreciate it. And now I'm getting used to, I already have 3 of the questions down pat, because the more you get to do them, the more you'll memorize them and you'll get used to it. And you can lay in your bed before the alarm even goes off if you're awake, or when the alarm goes off, you have that 3 minutes that you can take to go through these 6 questions that prepare you.
Did you go through them this morning?
I went through 3 of them. Yes.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, because I as soon as my eyes opened, I did it this morning again.
Yeah.
And it really does help me set the tone for my day.
Right. So we want you to know that if you missed the 6 questions last night, the group live, again, you can replay the live, but Brandy is going to post those 6 questions, and we're going to share that post throughout our network. And we hope that you can take even one day to try it, because I'm telling you, it only took me once to try it before I was like, that's a hard one. And I sit and ponder it. And then I thought, oh, my feelings relate to my actions. My actions, what am I planning for the day? What am I feeling in my body? Am I too tight in my shoulders? It really makes you think. So, and then it really focuses you before you even get up out of bed. So I appreciate that, Brandy, and that's a great one. I just want to participate.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will make a post with those questions, and we will, I think I'm going to drive them in every single every single Monday when we meet for self-care, for sure.
And I also, I pause when I say this because I really want you to feel it when you listen to this. I appreciate your vulnerability that you gave us this week, for all the participants that opened up to tell us, to admit that we have difficult days, to be that vulnerable and let us know that you cried over an issue, and you're willing to share that with us so that you can see, do I relate to you? Can you understand me? And what can you help me sometimes with that? The honesty, the way you approach, and you feel you're coming into this with us without any judgment. And I hope we prove that there is no judgment with us. And a lot of us are walking your journey with you, just in different paths sometimes, but sometimes our paths are crossing way more than you're expecting. So I want to say a huge thank you. The participation this week, the involvement this week, and your vulnerability truly makes my heart warm. And it truly shows we're on the right path. And we're going to continue this. And please message us with any other questions. This doesn't stop today. So we're getting on the roll. So it doesn't stop today. And we're going to keep supporting you and give you validation and ask you what you need so that we can help meet those needs.
Absolutely. Ça fait Kim nous dit merci beaucoup pour votre vulnérabilité. Vulnérabilité. Ouais, hein? It's a hard word in French. Pour votre yeah, I can't say it. Vulnerability. Merci beaucoup pour nous avoir répondu avec vos questions et puis votre présence cette semaine. Puis pour nous avoir partagé de vos histoires, comment que, tu sais, c'est pas facile des fois, puis que vous avez besoin de support, puis Kim dit que ça fait chaud au cœur, puis pour le mien aussi. Fait que merci beaucoup, puis ça n'arrête pas là. On reconnaît que c'est un besoin, puis on veut continuer à répondre à vos questions, puis à répondre à vos besoins pour vous aider à identifier vos besoins pour que les choses se régularisent un petit peu mieux dans votre journée, puis dans vos semaines, puis dans vos familles. Fait que merci beaucoup pour votre participation cette semaine.
And Brandy, is there anything that you wanted to end it on? I mean, before I advertise our programming for next week.
Yeah, I also want to say thank you, and thank you for showing up as who you are, basically. I think that was a big one this week, of people just showing up as who they were, and especially at the group meeting and with your questions. And I just want to say, we see you.
Yes.
And we hear you.
We hear
and
you.
You're not alone.
Exactly.
And we're all, like Kim said, we're maybe not exactly walking the same path, but we're all on this journey together, and we all don't have it all figured out.
Right.
We don't have it all figured out. We're just navigating this the best we can. So thank you.
And we can do it together.
Yes.
So before we end today, I want to make sure that you are aware of next week's programming. So our coordinator for the St. John area, Catherine Derry, is taking care of our diversity week. So diversity in adoption and adoptive families. I'm really excited for her content. We already have a few people giving suggestions for next week and things that they're hoping she touches on. I'm sure she's going to cover it all. She has panels and she has webinars and she has interviews, and then her support group for diversity would be next Thursday evening also. It involves the LGBTQ2+ community. So we're very excited. Please stay tuned. Send any questions our way, sorry. And we hope that you have a wonderful morning. And maybe this was your self-care for today. If it was, thank you for letting us join that and continue it. And we will like to see you again.
All right. So have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. On the top corner where it says live, you can press on the live. You can press on the live button on the
That's how I
top
do
corner.
it.